I want to tell you something that still makes me sick to my stomach when I think about it. Not the money, although losing the money was catastrophic. Not even the betrayal itself, as devastating as that was. What makes me genuinely ill, even now, sitting here in this flat in Leeds that I'm renting month to month at 67 years old, is the fact that I handed her everything she needed to do it. I left the registration documents on the kitchen table, both of them, the Triumph TR6 and the Jensen Interceptor. Documents I'd spent 40 years protecting, stored in clear plastic wallets because I knew how irreplaceable they were, and I just left them there, like they were takeaway menus, because I trusted her, because I thought that's what love meant. My name is Barry, and Smile took everything from me. Not just the cars, everything. Let me explain who I was before Thailand, because I think it matters. I grew up in Bradford, not the nice part. My father worked in the wool mills until his lungs gave out, and my mother cleaned offices until her knees did the same. We didn't have money. We had stubbornness. I left school at 16, got a job at a garage in Shipley, and I never left, 47 years in the motor trade. I worked my way from apprentice to senior mechanic to workshop manager, and by the time I was in my late 40s, I owned 2 garages of my own. Small operations, nothing glamorous, but they were mine. I built them with my hands and my reputation. The cars were part of all that. I started collecting in my early 30s. Nothing extravagant. I knew what things were actually worth because I'd spent my career pulling them apart and putting them back together. The TR6 I found in a barn in North Yorkshire in 1991 barely ran, and I restored every inch of it myself over 3 winters. The Jensen came later, 1998, a proper project that took me the better part of 6 years. By the time I retired and sold the garages, those 2 cars represented something that had nothing to do with their market value. They were proof of what I could do, proof I was still a craftsman, not just a businessman. My wife of 31 years, Carol, passed away in 2019, pancreatic cancer. 12 weeks from diagnosis to gone. I don't talk about that much because I don't have words for it that feel adequate, but I mention it because you need to understand the state I was in when my mate Neil suggested Thailand. I wasn't suicidal. I wasn't falling apart dramatically. I was just emptied out, like someone had removed the furniture from every room and I was walking around in a big cold house that used to be my life, my footsteps echoing. Neil had been wintering in Hua Hin for 3 years by then. He rang me up in February 2021, the middle of that horrible lockdown winter, and he said, "Barry,